Okay, so we have a new film from Signature. It is called On Fire. The film is directed by Peter Facinelli and Nick Lyon. Leon co-wrote the film with Ron Pierre. It is produced by Leon and Facinelli, Beth Bruce, Matthew Joynes, Suzanne Weinert, and Peter Wimpfer. Executive produced by Rob White, Joe Ferdinands, and Simon Crow, with line production from Xander McCabe. Sasha Chabon took care of the music. Philip Roy was on cinematography. It's edited by Don Money and Robin Gonzalez. Tanika Becker and Paul Weber took care of the casting. Winona Yu, production design. Ariana McCall was on costume design. Hair and makeup, we have Mariana Nancy Ramos, Jenna Green, Shania Kaufman, and Janelle Aguilar. So the cast. Well, Dave Laughlin is played by Peter Facinelli. His wife, Sarah, is played by Fiona Dourif. His son, Clay, is played by Asher Angel. And his dad, George, is played by Lance Henriksen. I knew I recognized that dude. Right. Okay. So we have got Kayla, the phone operator, played by Ashley Fushi. Lisa is played by Dana Wing Lau. Mrs. Elkin is played by Laurie Cooker. The cross-country coach is played by Howard Squires. Rick is played by Cole Springer. We got Fred, played by Aaron J. Rome. The female doctor is played by Amy Masterson. The nurse is played by Elizabeth Maxwell. And we've got the older phone operator played by Johnny Horn. There's the receptionist played by Gillian Goldman. The police officers, we got one played by Tamika M. Soretti, the other Samuel Witten. And Marv is played by Glenn Morshower. Okay, so the gist of the story is Dave Laughlin is a self-employed contractor struggling to make ends meet for his family, who suddenly find themselves forced to fight for their lives when a wildfire suddenly breaks out in their small California town of Colberg. Their unexpected journey leads them down a path of tragic losses and perils and takes the audience on a suspenseful, action-packed ride. They find the tools they need along the way, a little faith, the strength and love they carry for each other, and support and help from first responders that give them the chance to make it out alive. So, this is inspired by true events, right? Inspired by true events. I mean, the true events being that, there's forest fires all the goddamn time, right? All the goddamn time, which is just one of those things which is kind of crazy, just these things just ravage the land, Now, with this film, with On Fire, you know exactly where it's going. From the giddy, you know what's going to happen, who's making it, who won't, what will happen during the whole journey, how it's going to, like, you know, it's one of those films, you know what I mean? Which is fine, right? It's fine. Now, hmm, like, it's always kind of nervy, you know, there's people driving through fires and that kind of thing. So, you know, there is that. A lot of the effects for fires is pretty good. Some of them don't look that real, but a lot of them do. A lot of them did look real. It did look pretty decent. The acting was okay. Now, it's more the interactions that get kind of clunky, right? There's a lot of cheesy stuff, like at the start, right? Dave is says to Clay, "Do you want to get burgers?" He's like, "Yeah, if you," and he's like, "Oh, if you can beat me to the car, you can get a supersize." So they're running. Obviously, the kid's gonna be faster, but then the dad does the, "Oh, my leg," and it's just like, okay. I mean, we see no one's fooling. Like we've seen it too many times. Let's, yeah, come on now, come on now. Let's do something else. So you have that. There's a bit with you know, Dave's dad, right? Dave's dad lives with them. He's an arsehole. And he's mean to his wife. Mean to his wife. Dave does nothing. It's one of those. Dave does nothing. But he says to Sarah, he's he's only mean to you because he sees my mum in you. And she's just like, "Oh, thank you." And it's just like, what? Like, that's not an excuse. That's not a reason. That's not a reason for you being a fucking pussy hole and not sticking up for your goddamn wife, motherfucker. Like, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? It was just the oddest thing. So there's just these weird, clunky exchanges at times. You know, when he goes to the store to buy stuff, right? Just the interaction with the guy, I think it's Marv, is just like very clunky. And a big thing with this as well, you're watching it. And yes, this, you know, it's this fight for survival and all of that. But there's a lot of points where you're just like, they didn't need to be in that situation. Like, you know, I get because you hear, you know, the fire doesn't usually come this way. It doesn't, but we know how fire works, right? Fire is not predictable. And when there's wind involved, it's anyone's fucking business. So even though it doesn't normally, it was very surprising. And, you know, we don't have fires like that in the UK. So it's hard to say. But from conversations with friends who do deal with that kind of thing, there is a level of preparedness that you are, you know, forced to kind of comprehend. So even if shit doesn't happen all the time, you know, on a regular basis, you're still prepped. There's still an understanding, right? You still run, you know, what are they called? Demos, practices, right? You still run, but no one here seems to be prepped, ready, which did seem weird. Did seem weird. Now I can understand people getting lax, right? But to not just have anything did seem kind of bonkers. Did seem kind of bonkers. Another thing being, if fire obviously doesn't travel on water, but there is a point where it's not the fire, right? There's no oxygen. You're gonna suffocate, right? That's a big thing. Carbon monoxide poisoning, like you will suffocate. So you're not necessarily safe on water. You know what I mean? Just saying. Just saying. So yeah, there's a lot of odd things happening in the film that you do kind of scratch your head at. Also, there's bits where it's daytime, then suddenly it's nighttime, right? It does seem to be like, oh, we did filming, they stopped filming, and then like, fuck it, let's just start again. No one's gonna notice, right? There's some of that. There's some of that. Like, it's not by any means the worst thing I've ever seen, and it's inoffensive, right? So I guess it seems that this is a kind of a faith-based kind of film, so I'm sure it will play well for that audience. For the audience that wants something a little more wholesome, you can put everyone in front of and you don't have to cover your ears, honey. This is where it gets dicey. You know what I mean? You don't have to do anything like that. So, I get this will play for those. It you know doesn't come close to something like Backdraft from back in the day. You know what I mean? Like a film like that is just like, okay, I'm in this shit. I'm in this shit. But yeah, if you want that more kind of as I said, faith-based film, like gosh, American Prom, Into the Spotlight, that kind of thing, then I'd say On Fire is for you, and it's available now from all your favorite VODs.